Shalom, shalom, shalom. Um, Want to give all praises, glory, and honor be to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Um, this your brothers from the Hopeful Elect coming at you with another Wisdom Wednesday, and more importantly, following the 2024 Babylonian United States presidential election on November 5th yesterday. So this lesson is kind of titled, hey, Trump wins. Trump elected the 47th president of the United States, which um, this is not a lesson to go into all type of American politics, but this is just kind of like a recap on what transpired yesterday and the state of our people. What does this mean for us? What does this mean for our salvation? What does this mean for our livelihood in this land that we've been living in? Well, there's a lot of scriptures that we can go into. We're not going to go into all of them, but I'll just touch on a few of them that hold dearly to me during this, I guess you could say, this season, and some of the things that I've seen people say and heard said, and seen and everything. Um, I'll have precepts to kind of go into, some of that as well. But without further ado, we can pull up our first one, our first precept. Whoever wants to read can.
Con. The book of Hosea, chapter 4 and verse 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children.
So I wanted to start here first, to go here first through the spirit, because man, if I could sum up all the emotions that I've experienced, through this campaign season, even yesterday on election day, when all the votes are counted and the president is elected through the electoral college, if I could sum up one word to describe our people, it would be destroyed, right? The one word I would describe our people as is destroyed, man. And I've seen it more clear than I've ever seen it in my life yesterday during this election, surrounding this campaign. I mean, it's been the most nasty, distasteful, disgusting display of unity that I've ever seen in my life amongst so-called Negroes in America, right? There was a lot of posts on Twitter that were blaming black men for Donald Trump being reelected because Donald Trump received 20% of the black male vote. And there were a bunch of so-called black men and black women on Twitter bashing black men who voted for Donald Trump, calling them names, saying you're lost, saying I see why Harriet Tubman had to leave some of your ancestors behind, saying we failed our ancestors, we failed our foremothers, we failed our forefathers. I've seen a lot of things said about our people, right, who disagree with our people in supporting a certain beast, a part of the same system. So the reason that I wanted to go to Hosea 4 and 6 to say it a third time, man, is because the one word I could use to sum up, I guess you could say, uh, the description of our people, man, is destroyed. Mentally, we are destroyed because the biggest thing it mentions in that verse is that we forgot the law of thy God. And that has not been more clearer than it was to me yesterday, right? We forgot the law of God, and now all of a sudden we're partaking in American politics, thinking that this is going to be an opportunity for us to finally, achieve that equality that we've been longing and desiring for, right? But we'll never receive it. Why is that? Can we go to the book of Lamentations, chapter 4? Lamentations, chapter 4. And you can keep it wide. We could go to verse number 17. Yeah,
Con
you can start at verse 17. Oh, Slock, go ahead.
Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 17. Our eyes as yet fail for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
Right. Man, we've been watching for a nation that can't save us, right? We was looking at this election watch party, I guess you could say, you know, um, counting the votes, refreshing our phones, just trying to keep the score on who would be elected the 47th president of the United States of America, right? And the biggest thing that bothers me about this election, right, is because my people are so destroyed they don't even understand this precept that we just brought out. This understanding what Jeremiah was going into. We can't, again, this nation can't save us. Nothing that we can do for America will give us our 40 acres and a mule. Nothing that we will do for America will teach us who we are as a people, will help us get back to our homeland. Nothing that we do for America will allow us to enter into eternal life, right? And I think the biggest problem is that people confuse religion and politics, and you put it in the same bowl and you eat it down and it goes down the same pipe, and you just like, well, it's kind of relatively on the same playing field. My problem is, and I'll get into uh, that segue of conversation later on, but my biggest problem is that, again, we really feel as if we're doing our ancestors a disservice by not voting, specifically for so-called Blacks and Hispanics, Democrat, right? Because that's what the party system is set up like. White people vote Republican, Black people and Hispanic people vote Democrat, right? But it's crazy to me because at the end of the day, again, it's all a part of us. It's all a part of us doing exactly what this says right here, waiting for a nation that can't save us, right? And we have been so hoodwinked, tricked. And I used to say, and I don't think no differently, but I used to say a lot of, hey, our people have been destroyed, through captivity, and you got to have mercy on them sometimes because they're ignorant, but not knowingly. But man, the way I was feeling yesterday, I was like, these people know that they're ignorant. You know what I'm saying? And they're willfully trying to be ignorant. And the reason I say that is because there was a lot of people that call themselves Christians, call themselves wanting to be followers of Christ, avid churchgoers, all type of stuff like that, right? But ignore a lot of the policies for the party that they support go directly against the commandments that the Most High God gave to his son to give to the people. That is a big issue when you realize that your political beliefs can kind of conflict with your religious views. And if you don't think that you shouldn't support a party that conflicts with your religious beliefs, then maybe you are the type of person that helps further the affliction of our people because you want to mix the two for the sake of being accepted, for the sake of changing your situation and circumstance. But if it's not being done in the manner which the Father said it needed to be done in order for our situation and circumstance to change, why bother? You know?
Yeah,
So,
you have a choice in everything that you do. A lot of times we forget that we have choices, right? We just see what's in front of us. For example, like if you go to the fair, if you know that that rim is bent on the basketball goal, at the point that you realize that rim is bent and is rigged, it's time for you to keep moving. But some people don't keep moving. Some people keep spending all their money because they think they have no choice. They don't think that walking away is a choice. And I bring that up because those same people that you're talking about will justify the reason why they are bringing the church into it and voting for the Democratic Party by saying, now God is for love. God loves everybody and he accepts everybody just how they are. And they have to come up with an ignorant statement like that to justify the fact that they don't know that they don't have to vote. They don't know that they don't. There's an option of not voting. They think they have to vote, and that's the problem with our people is that we just take what's given to us and we don't ever think outside the box, man. We don't ever think about other possibilities and other freedoms that we have. It's the land of the free for a reason, and you're free not to vote.
Right. You know, a lot of so-called black women was unfriending a lot of people yesterday. I don't know if I got unfriended, to be honest, and I don't care. But the reason I was bringing that up is because a lot of them were saying they were unfriending people for not voting. I'm like, what type of sense does that make? You know, every election season really kind of gets under my skin when it comes to so-called Negroes in America. Why? Because Negroes in America are the most destroyed people. And it was made a lot more clear to me yesterday, right? And my reason for saying all of that is people are letting different political standpoints cause them to break up with their spouses, cause them to break up with their break relationship or break ties with their friends and family. And it's kind of disgusting, honestly, because if you want a country where everybody can be equal, especially if you're voting Democrat, right? Why are you sitting up here? Why are you sitting up here causing division and confusion because somebody else disagrees with you? Like, if we live in a world where everybody's the same, that there would be no reason for anybody to be, I guess you could say, different, right? For example, if everybody in the world, and we just went over this last week, right? But if everybody in the world was, I guess you could say, sinless, blameless before the Lord, there would have been no reason for the Lord to send Christ to save us if righteousness had come by the law, right? So people have to put things into perspective sometimes. Like, this world is not built on everybody getting along and everybody thinking the same thing. This world is built on how people with opposing viewpoints can come and work together. And again, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the kingdom of the Most High God, right? I'm talking about the world that we live in right now. You know, it was built on oppression, right? But you got to think, a lot of these so-called white people that put our ancestors into captivity, a lot of them didn't agree on everything, right? They know they wanted to make money. They know they wanted to get, they know they didn't really want to do the work for the fruits of their labor. So they got us to do the labor. They got the fruit of it, but not everybody agreed on, you know, what type of fruit they were going to bear, right? If you can catch my drift. I'm just saying all that to say that it's really disgusting to me how, like the brother said, people have a choice not to vote, but people feel like they have to because we're guilt tripped into this voting system by quotes like, oh, your ancestors died for this, right? So-and-so died for this. And it really just bothers me because, again, it's hypocritical if you're somebody who votes for a party that wants equality amongst everybody, but you're saying you're going to cut people off because they disagree politically than you. It doesn't make sense, you know?
And then it's like they get mad at folks for saying, what does it matter if they're gay? That has nothing to do with you. That's their choice, that decision. What does it matter if somebody wants an abortion? That's their body, it's their choice. But when it comes to voting, bro, I guess we just don't got no choice, nigga. Because we choose not to vote, or if we choose to vote someone that you don't like, then, you know, we're just despicable. And it's like, you got to make up if you guys are pro-choice, bro, you got to be pro-choice across the board. You can't be pro-choice for abortion and homosexuality, but not pro-choice when somebody wants to be traditional or somebody wants to do something other than that, bro. It's really getting one-sided out this thing.
Right. Pro-choicers people don't make sense to me. You know, it doesn't make sense because, like the brother said, it starts getting in the realms that they really don't want to address or acknowledge, right? Which is kind of crazy and it's very absurd, to say the least, right? But I wanted to go to another precept. Can we go to Romans 13 and let's start at verse number 1, right? Because a lot of people that like to use the Bible to justify why they vote in the election, they'll go to certain precepts, and I will touch 2 of them lightly. I will touch 2 of them lightly. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to give a whole breakdown and analysis of this. But let's go to Romans 13:1. Let's read what that says right there.
Romans 13:1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God.
See, some of our people are so destroyed they misuse the scriptures, right? They say, we say ye do err, like Christ said in Matthew 22 when he was talking to the Sadducees, but we say ye do err not knowing the scriptures nor the power of God, right? But they say, well, the power of God ordained these people to be in these positions for us to vote for them. And it says we need to be subject to the powers that be. So this is why I vote, because I got to be subject to the powers that be. Let's read verse 2.
Verse number 2, whosoever therefore resists the power, resists the ordinance of God. And they
So
that
if I resist, Salakia, if I resist the right to vote, right, I'm resisting, the ordinance of the Most High God. Let's keep reading.
Resisted the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation.
So this is how our people feel. If I don't vote, I'm resisting the power of God. Therefore, I'm gonna get sent to hell because I didn't vote. When God comes back and he asks, what did I do to make a difference in the earth? And he's gonna say, well, you didn't vote. I'm gonna say, well, because I didn't support the candidates. He's gonna be like, oh, you resisted my power and authority. Go to hell. Flee from me, thy work of iniquity. I never knew you. This is how some of our people think, right? They think
Yeah,
that the Most High God set these powers up to rule over them to the point where it's a sin to not do something like that. But go ahead.
I was gonna say, a lot of people forget, America is not the whole earth, bro. Your task, I wanted to make a post today, but I told myself I'm not gonna make any posts about any of this stuff. I was gonna make a post and saying when you die, you can't take America with you, because people seem to think your choices that you do here in America and how you stand up for your country and how you pray for its lead. And man, God has raised up empires and destroyed them. And after he destroys them, it's just a memory at that point. So a lot of people have been fooled to think that America is just this heavenly realm that no parts of the earth can touch, like it's the Garden of Eden or something. And it's your quote unquote duty to have some type of impact, influence, or contribution to it. And I just want to let people know, man, God didn't say nothing about being a good American citizen in the Bible, bro. He didn't.
Man, my thing is this. They bring up the whole ancestor thing, but my thing is, how do you know your ancestors would be even participating in voting for a Republican or Democrat at this point? How do you not know if by this point, they would be only voting for somebody that was us, like an actual African American, a Negro, right? You know what I'm saying? A product of slavery. How do you know that, we wouldn't have boycotted the election? Because we boycotted a lot of stuff, right? Now, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's just simple-minded thinking to be like, well, they died for this, so we owe it to them, right? Man, our ancestors weren't dumb, man. Our ancestors were stronger than us mentally. Our ancestors, they were fed up. They did stuff that was radical, right? They didn't just lay down and, say and pretty much give up, because that's really what you're doing. You giving up, right? And then we don't, and as Black people, we want to say somebody's cooned out, but the moment we actually have a legit Black candidate, whether he not being of a party that you don't never even heard of, nobody wants to vote for him, right? Because you steady voting for what the media is pushing, right? And I feel like our ancestors wouldn't have done that. Our ancestors would have stuck to what we want to happen, right? You think about Black Wall Street and stuff like that. We wasn't worried about the white man's news. We wasn't worried about the white man's candidates, right? And so the very thing that people say that you're cooned out for doing when you don't vote, it's like, man, you are beyond cooned out when you have to vote for two people that have no interest in what you got going on. Pecan.
Right. You know, I didn't take the approach Brother Asrael took. You know, I did post about the election and stuff like that. I didn't make posts about you know, how I feel about it. Well, I did make posts. Okay, so let me just say it like this. I did post about the election, right? But not in the manner in which people think. I wasn't supporting a specific candidate. What I posted was a post that said Kamala Harris is not going to teach our people to love God and keep his commandments. Donald Trump is not going to teach our people to love God and keep his commandments. The only person I'm voting for is the Messiah to come and redeem his people from their captivity, right? And from the hands of all that hate them, right? So that was one of the posts that I made. And I made another post this morning on Facebook that said, man, this election proved that Jeremiah 17:5. Can we pull that up real quick? It's one thing that this election proved. And I'm gonna say Jeremiah 17:5.
Yeah, I was gonna say that precept after the first precept you read. I was like, you know what, he might have that in his arsenal. Let me just stop.
Because let's read this real quick.
Jeremiah 17:5. Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord.
Right. Hey, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, right? This election proved that, you know, we're not doomed because who's in office, right? And I seen a sister that I went to college with post that, oh, we're doomed, but we're not doomed because of who sits in the presidential office of the United States of America. Matter of fact, if you think that you're doomed because of a man or a woman that sits in the presidential seat, that means that you're putting your trust in man, right? So the Lord says, cursed be the man that trusteth in man and maketh flesh his arms, right? Whose heart departed from the Lord. Again, that's a part of us being destroyed as a people. What was the first precept we read? Hosea 4:6. So Hosea 4:6 said, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. So being that we're destroyed for a lack of knowledge, this just certainly proves how, hey, people tend to make flesh their arm. You wanna know why? Because they don't know the commandments of the Lord. They're not keen to nothing of the spirit, man. The only thing they can think about is the flesh man, the people who sit in the office, right? That's the only thing that they think that makes the decisions. That's the only people that they think that changes things. But we don't know. We're ignorant of the knowledge of the Lord, man. And this, again, this is like a recap of everything that I've seen and brother seen, heard, witnessed, and just how we kind of feel about it over the last 24 to 48 hours. It's been relatively crazy, you know. And a lot of the things that I've seen turn me off from a lot of people, not as in, you know, I would just cut them off and treat them like a heathen, but as in, you know, it really shows me how very dishonest people are, very disingenuous, what they call it, very entitled and very asinine that people are, you know, when it comes to this presidential election, right?
Yeah, you know,
Can we go ahead.
I was gonna say, you know, when you think about it, man, it's nothing but added confusion. You know, people always go to the scripture, Isaiah 30, and it's always added confusion, right? You think you're doing something to help yourself get out of a situation, and it just makes it worse, and then you're confused on why it's worse. Same thing what happened last time, right? When people voted Democrat, we got Joe in there. You ended up being confused at why everything in life got harder in America. Same thing now. You're gonna trust in the man Trump. Everybody saying God put Trump in the office, and God has anointed Trump, and God. Hey, look, don't be surprised when you get confused. Also, those people that were voting for Kamala, you know, you was putting all your time and effort in promoting a woman that you do not know, spending your time voting, all for confusion. Now you feel like it was a waste of time because she lost, right? You got to understand, like the brother Isaiah just said, God is the only one that is going to sustain your life, whether the economy is booming and businesses are booming, or you're living in a depression and a recession. God's the only one. You living in a famine, the only one that's going to allow you to live comfortably in Goshen is the Most High God, right? When you look at Joseph and his brothers and stuff like that, and the world was in a famine, right? The only one that sustained them was the Most High God at the end of the day. So if you doing what you're supposed to do, the Most High God is going to have you, whether whoever's in office, whoever's in leadership, wherever you are, not just in America, but wherever you are in this earth. That's the only king that's going to make your life easier, right? Or has the possibility or the capability of making your life easier. That's the Most High God, right? But you want to be like these other nations, man. You want to, like I said in First Samuel, I think chapter 8, you want to get another god and try to be like not another god, but another king, right? And try to be like these other nations, right? He gonna end up taking your wives, your kids, your land, your houses, your animals. He gonna take everything, man, and you gonna be left confused, like what's going on. But I yield.
Con. I mean, you got to think, man. All of this means nothing, right? Uh, it simply means nothing because you go to prophecies like Revelation 18, where it talks about the fall of Babylon the Great, man. You go to the same thing in Ezekiel 38. You'll see other prophecies that in Revelation 20, when it talks about the lake of fire and brimstone. Like you get all these prophecies, man, and you'll see that again. This nation, this kingdom, this land is going to come to naught at some point. When that point is, only the Father in heaven knows. But he gives us signs. And I feel like yesterday was one of those telltale signs that things are slowly but surely moving towards time of the end. I'm not saying it's close. I'm not giving a date. I'm not giving a detail. All I'm saying is that day after day, the signs point to, the Lord, hey, he's waking up his people slowly but surely, right? If we can go to this precept, because the brother Asrael said it, so I got to bring it out. But if we can go to Deuteronomy, I mean, not Deuteronomy, but if you can type in Sirach 14 and go to verse number, I want to say verse number 21. Because you said something and I just wanted to expound on it, right? No, 14. 14, chapter 14, Con.
Yeah, man, it's a sidebar too, man. To all you Israelites out there, man, that's giving these prophecies that end up not coming true, man. I need you guys to publicly repent too, man. There's a lot of y'all out there saying that God spoke to y'all and Kamala was gonna be the president and X, Y, and Z. Hey, man, it's okay that you was bold. It's okay that you thought something, man. But don't try to be ignorant enough to still be, pushing that prophecy that didn't come to pass, man. Be manful or woman enough to say, hey, look, man, I was wrong. I got my wires crossed up. Don't be prideful and still trying to make your prophecy come to pass because it's a wrap now. You know what I'm saying? But kind of sidebar.
Con, no, you're right. Salakia, I lied to you. Go to chapter 11. 11 and 14, I think is what I'm looking for. Salakia, my bad. I said chapter 14, but I'm thinking about chapter 11 and verse 14. Oh, right there. Right there. What does it say? Sirach 11 and 14.
Prosperity and adversity, life and death, poverty and riches come of the Lord.
Right, like the brother Azrael was going into, man. When we was in Egypt and there was a famine, the only person that sustained us, it wasn't pharaohs, it was the Lord. that allowed the pharaohs to give us what we needed to live in the captivity, right? Same thing when we came out of Egypt and we didn't have nothing, and our people complained to the Lord. They conspired against the Lord. They murmured, and they was like, man, what to God? We came out here in this captivity, out of this captivity to die right here in the wilderness of hunger and a thirst, and the Lord gave us manna. He fed us. It's the same thing in every captivity that we've been through. The Lord has always been the one to sustain us. He's the one that saved us out of those captivities. He's the one that also sent us in them, right? But he's the one that also gave us everything that we need to sustain ourselves. But let's not get it twisted. When we were in these captivities, like my brother Asrael likes to always point out, we weren't sitting up here saying, okay, let's vote for the next king of Babylon. Let's vote for the next Caesar of Rome. You know, let's go vote for the next Grecian ruler. Let's go vote for the next Assyrian king, right? We weren't partaking in their politics and in their voting systems, you know, because we were living in their land. We were focused on worshiping and serving our God, right? Which is why we have to understand that the only thing that will ever deliver us from oppression is literally the keeping of the commandments of the Lord. I couldn't say it no clearer. You know what I'm saying? There's so many scriptures that we could point to go into that. However, I'm not going to pull out all those scriptures, right? I don't want the brothers to pull out all those scriptures because it can turn into a lesson within a lesson, right? But I want to just stick to kind of like, I guess you could say, the vent session, you know? Keep the main thing. And the main thing we're talking about right now is just kind of like giving our understanding of how we feel and reacting to everything that went on. And one thing I'll say is, again, like the brother Azrael said, our people got to know who we serve at the end of the day, right? If you can go to one more precept, Deuteronomy 32, and go to 29. Deuteronomy 32 and 29. Because what I was going to do with this lesson, this Wisdom Wednesday, man, I was going to do like a whole shaboing lesson, man, and I was going to go into, you know, Trump's policies, Harris policies. I was going to give a lot more breakdown, but I ended up saying, nah, I didn't want to do that. Why? Because at the end of the day, I don't want the people to think that I support a candidate, you know? At the end of the day, the reason that I haven't brought out a lot of information pertaining to the election itself, like certain video clips, certain posts, certain facts about which candidate, whatever, which party, whatever, you know, is because our biggest doctrine is the Bible. And that's why we want to read straight from the scriptures, you know. I don't want to go to CNN or the Associated Press or Fox News and pull stuff from there. I want to stick to the law, statutes, and commandments, you know, the Torah Tanakh, you know, the law and the prophets that the Lord gave us to use to discern these things in these times, right? Let's read this, Deuteronomy 32. Wait, scroll down. Scroll down. Keep going. Come, let's 39. Let's read 39.
Deuteronomy 32 and 29. 39. See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God with me. I kill, I make alive, I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand.
People are so worried about, you know, Trump and Project 2025, which I did look it up. I went over, you know, I looked at some of the things that Project 2025 consists of, and I'm just going to say it flat out. Biblically speaking, because my standpoint, my basis for my beliefs is always going to be the scriptures, man. Biblically speaking, a lot of stuff he got in that project is on point, biblically speaking, right? But again, that's not to be confused with me saying Trump is a man of the Bible and he's a man of the Lord, and I support Donald J. Trump for president. You know,
and one thing I want to say
true.
too, if you really know about the whole Project 2025, it was going to be in place whether Trump got in or Kamala got in. It was a myth that it was Trump's doing, but it was more so of a whole house type of thing where
Right,
neither one of the candidates made that list, but it was going to be the plan no matter who got in there. That's what people fail to realize. Now they try to pin it on Trump because most of the stuff that's in there is left wing or Republican ideologies that they want to push. But nonetheless, it was going to happen with both parties.
right. Because people don't know that it was made up by a group of scholars. I think they was like said it was like over 400 scholars that kind of worked on writing out these policies and putting this I guess you could say this project together. You know, a group of political entities that all work together to create this. It wasn't even like the brother just said, straight Donald J. Trump. However, the reason I'm attributing Trump with Project 2025 is because being that we already had a presidency with Donald J. Trump, there were some things that were listed in the project that were strictly enforced by President Trump when he was president from 2017 to 2021. So that's why I'm saying, biblically speaking, there are some things in there that I agree with wholeheartedly, you know. But at the end of the day, again, people were so worried about that as if, you know, Republicans specifically are going to go around and start killing Negroes, right? As if there aren't any Negro Republicans, right? But I said all that to say the reason that we read this is because people got to understand that Satan has zero bodies. Again, Satan has zero bodies. The Lord has however many people that's ever been on the earth lived and died. That's how many bodies that the Lord has. The Lord is the one who kills. The Lord is the one who makes alive. Prosperity and life, death and riches, prosperity and adversity, life and death, poverty and riches, all of this comes from the Lord, the Most High God. No candidate, no election. There's nothing that we can do on the face of this earth to change our situation and circumstance, especially if we're looking for a man, a mortal man, to do so. You're looking at a man who a bullet right now could take his life. You can't shoot a bullet in the sky and think it's going to hit the Lord and think, oh, you just killed the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So people, the biggest thing people have to remember is that, again, we don't serve man, right? We serve the Most High God, the creator of all things, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he's the one who runs the show. And people were saying that, you know, after their candidate lost, they were saying, well, at the end of the day, God is in control. But they're just using that as a coping method. They don't really believe that, because if you believe that, you wouldn't have been going so hard and cutting people off for disagreeing with you about your political standpoint. You know, we live in a hypocritical nation, man. And there's so much more that I wanted to go into and say. But again, just for the sake of not wanting to make this a political, you know, I guess you could say rant, and making it seem like the hopeful elect is bipartisan or supports a certain party, I just wanted to read a couple scriptures and get on and just kind of vent, talk to the people, man. You know, but last precept I got, can you go to Matthew chapter 22 and verse 21? And it's the last precept I'll read. You know, if brothers got anything they want to add on afterwards, be my guest. But I just want to read this in closing. So just giving a little context right here, right? This is Christ. He just finished giving the parable about the feast, right? About the wedding feast and the bride and the bridegroom, right? So now the Pharisees and the Herodians are trying to trip Christ up, and they're trying to get him to stumble over his words, roughly paraphrasing. So they asked, you know, is it lawful? I guess you could say is it lawful to give unto Caesar, something like that, right? But This is what he answered him. This is what he answered and said. Let's read this real quick.
This is Matthew 22 and 21. They say unto him, Caesar's. Then said he unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's.
Right. As well as we read Romans 13 and 1 earlier, when I said there are people like us who try to use Romans 13, 1 and 2 to partake in politics. There are people who try to use Matthew 22 and 21 and say, well, I got to give Caesar's what is Caesar's. I got to give my vote. If I don't give my vote, I'm denying the powers that be, and the powers that be are of God. So basically, I'm disobeying God, and I ain't trying to give, I ain't trying to be sent into eternal damnation because I'm disobeying God. People twist this. This doesn't mean that you have to vote. Neither does Romans 13, 1 and 2. All this is saying is that, again, whatever is your oppressor's given unto him. You don't have to vote, though. It's not in the Constitution that if a man doesn't vote, he's breaking the law. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that, right? All is in the Constitution is about giving certain people the rights to vote. But it doesn't mean that you, I guess you could say, put it like this. Voting is a privilege. It's not a requirement. That's the best way I could say it. Voting is a privilege, not a requirement. So we have to give unto Caesar what is his. Certain things that are required for us to give unto Caesar is taxes. You know, that's a requirement. That's not a privilege. It's not like I can choose whether or not I want to pay my taxes. I mean, you can, but you're going to suffer the consequences thereof for not paying it, right? But voting faces no legal action if you don't ever cast a ballot, right, in your life. So that's rough. All I'm saying. At the end of the day, we have to give unto the Most High what is his, though. What is the Most High's that we should be giving unto him? Our lives. The way we live our lives each and every day is what the Lord desires. We got to pay rent, and rent is due every day with the Lord. And every day we got to make deposits into our bank account so that the way the Lord can withdraw from us so we can cover our debt, right? We got to continue to love one another as we love ourselves. We got to continue to strive to keep the commandments of the Lord, because if we don't do these things, we'll continuously have elections like this, and it's only going to wax worse and worse, you know? Like I said, if I could sum everything up, man, I say our people are destroyed for sure, you know? And I know it's been an understanding that we've been destroyed, but yesterday just proved how really bad it is to me. You know what I'm saying? I was kind of naive to it, but I'm a little bit more understanding of how bad it really is out here. And it's not the fact that it's bad, it's because, like I said earlier, our people are just being willfully ignorant at this point. You got brothers like me, Brother Dinar, Brother Azrael, other brothers across other camps, other sisters, dropping precepts, scriptures, giving opinions, doing videos, teaching the Bible, inviting people to come fellowship, doing all that we can to bid the people to know the truth and help set them free. But they willfully turn their eyes away from it. And then partaking in the election, thinking that that's going to help change things. People are crying, being sad about the outcome that an Indian woman didn't get elected into office. It's crazy to me, right? But nonetheless, you know, I ain't gonna go on too much longer of a rant. I'm gonna say all praise, glory, honor to the Most High God, the creator of all things, the author and finisher of our faith, man, the one who kills and makes alive, who wounds and heals. Everything that's done by him is what's gonna stand. So with that, I yield. Whatever brother was bringing up this precept, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to read these three real quick. We read these at camp this past week. Jeremiah 51 and 7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. Meaning we influence the earth, man, to do a lot of things. The earth does our holidays. The earth loves our musical artists. They love our movies, right? They love our applications, whether it be Netflix or whatever, right? The whole earth has drunken from Babylon. And, you know, we are this Babylon that's been talked about. It says, the nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, right? And, you know, a lot of these other countries, they were keeping up with our electoral race, right, in our election. And I want to say, when's the last time that you stayed tuned to an election in a different country? You might know who their prime minister is or president or whoever their leader is right now, but you don't know who their running mate was or who was running against them if they had an election. You don't know that, but it's something because they all pay attention to what we got going on. But right here it says that nations are mad, right? And why? We done puffed ourselves up. We're so proud over here. We think that we just better than everybody. They don't like that, naturally. Jeremiah 51:8. Babylon is fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. Right? This place is over with. Right? Everybody knows the economy is trash. Everybody knows that the people are trash. The morals are trash. The, the, the legal system is corrupt. This place is fallen. Right? Verse 9, it says, we would have healed Babylon, talking about the heavenly host. Right? We would have healed Babylon, but she's not healed. Right? You can't vote this place better. You can't pray this better. You can't make podcasts until this place is made better. You can't do none of that. Right? It says, forsake her. Let us go everyone in his own country, where her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. Right? All the sin from this land, man, is reached to the heavens. And there's nothing we can do at this point. But keep the commandments and be under God. But kind of you.
Hey man, ain't no party like a commandment keeping party, and a commandment keeping party don't stop. So Lord willing, hey, whoever watches this video, most high willing, you've been edified in some shape, form, or fashion. The water for tuning in for another Wisdom Wednesday from the brothers from the Hopeful Elect, man. Lord willing, we'll be on here either tomorrow, Friday, or on the Sabbath. We always try to at least get 2 days in per week. So today and maybe the next 1 to 3 days, we'll see what's popping. But most high willing, everybody, that's striving to keep the law, statutes, commandments, stay girded, endure to the end. Most high willing, you all continue to press forward. Go through these trials and tribulations. But other than that, ain't nothing else to be said. We got to keep these commandments. But with that, I'll say shalom.
Shalom.